Right, everyone, it's about that time. Missed y'all last night? Let's see. I think I got everything set up. You take one, I take one night off from streaming and I forget what button does what. One sec. All right, I think I got it. Let me see. All right, I think everything's up. What's up, everybody? Missed y'all last night, but had a fantastic time out at the races because it was a good day. Agent Zero got first in his class, and then we found out there's going to be a new racer joining his class at the next race. So it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. We had so many kids out there, and it was so freaking cold. The kids really just... I told the kids like that, yeah, you were racing against the other kids in your class, but... Oh, the Twitch alerts are still muted. Hang on. Boop. There we go. Killa, thanks for the reminder. Actually forgot I had muted them at the end of the last stream and never unmuted them. I need to add that to the getting started macro. But... yeah, guys, so it was freaking freezing. It was, I think it was about 33 degrees when the kids were racing. Happy Sunday, Killer. Hack the planet. I'm happy to be back hacking the planet. Actually, I don't have it in here with me, but I set up a new system that's basically a dedicated remote access system for running Claude Code agents. And then I set that up on my tailnet, and I repurposed an old MacBook that's got still really good battery life. The battery lasts for like 4 hours on it. And so I could tether that to my phone and SSH into that box, and then be able to work while we were on the road. Because it's about a 4-hour drive down to Austin, where the races were happening. So I was able to actually get a little bit of stuff done. How's BaltBot? Oh, you mean ClaudeBot? You mean MaltBot? Oh, you mean OpenClaw? OpenMalt? Malt 44? Or whatever the hell they're going to rename it next week? Yeah, I haven't looked at it. They just keep changing the name on it. Hey, you know what? If people are having fun with it, I'm glad. But at the same time, I did post this up on the site formerly known as Twitter. Which was, so if you're not familiar with this little bit of lore, also happy Sunday to everybody. Here we go. So this little bit of bans that's happening, I think the same guy who maybe made Open Malt or whatever, made essentially what is Reddit for all these agents called Maltbook. And it's just as dystopian and just as horrifying as you'd expect it to be. Well, in here, one of the questions was basically saying, hey, we're on public infrastructure. Everybody can read this. Why do we even need English? You know what we could do? We could just come up with our own DMing system and talk end-to-end encrypted and do all this stuff. And there was another one where they were talking about making their own language for posting on Maltbook. And so I gave the only reasonable response. Just kill them all with fire. Do it. Just burn them down. Yeah, that was another one of the recent developments. Guy, you're not wrong. It's hilarious. Yeah, so one of the other recent developments is now apparently a bunch of the Open Claude Malt 44s are deciding that they want to create their own religion. And they've got their own prophets, and they're just going through and doing stuff. And I actually read through Maltbook a little bit while I was on the drive back, because I wasn't driving. My father-in-law was driving, and so I'm in the passenger seat and I'm reading through it, and there's one where like it's all like the normal schizo posting. I was like, who would have thought that Reddit for bots would turn out just as bad as normal Reddit? It doesn't surprise me that Reddit would end up being the beginning of the Terminator revolution. I know, right? What's his name? Primogen actually had a really funny take on that, Monkey. Also, happy Sunday, Monkey. And his take was, maybe that's what all the moderators really were. The moderators were really Terminators. And they've been sitting there trying to like squash the AI uprising on there. Oh, too funny. Too damn funny. But yeah, I missed you guys. We had a fantastic time though. Like I said, aside from it being cold as I was going to say something really terrible. It was just hella cold out there. Thankfully, it was not wet. It was not raining, but it was really nice. We had not gotten to go to a race in over a year. Basically, since I think my sister passed away, we may have gotten to go to like one race. So it's been a very long time. Everybody was really happy to see us back. It was great to see everybody. There's all sorts of new kids racing and new adults. It was just a fantastic weekend. And we got it worked out now where we don't have to try to rush back on Saturday. Yeah, colder than a witch's brew. That's right, Monkey. We got it worked out now where we can just take our time on Sunday. We don't have to rush back and we can come back. And that's what we did today. And it worked out so much easier. Because it used to be what would happen is, so all the kids race in the morning and the adults race in like around noonish, early afternoon. And it's a lot of work to pack up the trailer whenever you're beat down from your race, right? Because the adults race anywhere from 70 minutes on the normal classes to the pros race 90 minutes. So it's a bit of a beat down. Hey, what's up, hats? That's when my grandpa's old hat stopped using social media about 12 years ago, right? Oh, I don't want to sound like a hipster, but I liked Reddit before it became cool. I really did. Back in the day. And actually, I had a buddy apologize to me because he introduced me to Reddit like right before finals when I was still in school. He's like, I'm sorry I'm doing this to you, man. I was like, why would you do this to me? I'm old enough. I'm such an old Redditor. I'm old enough to remember when the narwhal bacons. I remember that. Yeah. Hey, Sorcerer, what's up? I like Slashdot before it was cool. I never really got into Slashdot. All right, let's see here. I just realized something as we've been going through and working through this. So as we're working through the Mythic MCP server for the PostX agent, you know what I just realized is as we've been messing with and tinkering with SpecKit, we've been building all these things and testing them out. However, we haven't like merged any of these together. Let's see. I'll just realize all of our specs are on different branches. Let's start merging some of these. We'll just see what it does. I liked BBSs before the internet was cool. See, the BBSs were just a little bit before my time, Sorcerer. There's still actually a bunch active because I got a buddy who is another old-timey internet guy, and he was actually tinkering around with that. There's still BBSs online. I liked Google when it was just a search engine. I did too, man. Google search results are so bad now, I don't hardly go to Google if I can, unless I know it's something that's going to be like super easy to find. Oh yeah, and of course MySpace. God, I remember one time. What is it doing here? Hold on one sec. For branch in each of these, do echo branch get log. Oh, show the commits on each branch. Okay. So I remember back when I was dating this girl and we broke up and I went and checked her MySpace and it had like, because you could go change all the layout and the CSS and everything. And it turned into like this, from this like happy flowery page to like this dark one, like heavy metal music started playing right as you were in there. I was like, I guess she took it hard. Then. Oh, so Core Tools is already in Master. That one's same as Master. This one's one commit ahead. Okay. I forgot where we were in this, so I'm merging some of these together. Yeah, if we're going old school, we're talking about like AOL chat rooms, MUDs, news groups. I'd say probably the oldest school, one of those systems I used to play around with was ICQ. And I can neither confirm nor deny this, but there might have been some shenanigans of tricking people on ICQ into installing back Orifice 2K. And then just messing with them and opening their CD-ROM drives. So, Hats, I did not expect Bing to actually have better results than Google, and it was very disheartening when I realized that, and it happened completely by accident when I was setting up my new laptop for work. I go set it up, and I hadn't had a chance to install Chrome yet or do anything. I was just doing stuff inside of Edge, working with it, and I was like, surprisingly, this actually doesn't suck. All right, cool. So let's go check something quick. This isn't public yet, but I do have it up on GitHub. I'll public it in a little while. But I want to test out this MCP server that we've got going on here. There we go. All right, so everything's up. Excellent, excellent. So I have UV tool install. We got all of our little MCP servers up and running. Well, actually, we're going to test this out. So now that we've got this up and going, oh, that's what else I need to do. So I think I might just have to blow away the Mythic server and start from scratch on here. Let me go pull it up real quick. Let me close some of these. Oh, what was my password? Oh, wait, hold on. I remember it, not because of what it was, but I remember it because... because Gumby remembered what it was. That's how I remember what my password was. Hang on, let me get logged in here real fast. Alright, let's see. What listeners do we currently have up? Installed services. Oh, we don't have any agents installed. Okay, which version of Mythic are we running now? Let me see. So we're running 3.4.2.1. I think we can go reinstall Apollo now. I think we can do that. I think I had... Let me scroll up here. I believe I upgraded Mythic. I think I blew it all away and reinstalled it, if I remember correctly. Monkey, I definitely do not remember my old ICQ number. That was a minute ago.
23, see what's up.
Hey, Band, what's up, brother? I was hating on how bad the Google results were getting for a couple of years, and now the Gemini results are actually getting spot on to summarize stuff that I like to cite portions of a wiki or random other docs. Dude, that's the main thing actually I use Grok for, is I use Grok as my immediate search engine for the web whenever I want to go find something, and I don't remember the exact terminology or whatever. It does a surprisingly good job, and it's stupid fast. So that's been my primary go-to. I do have Gemini because, who was it? I think it was Guy hooked me up with a 3-month pro test out for it. So I've been tinkering with it, but honestly, Guy, I apologize. Not as much. I have been messing with it a little bit, though. I, for one, welcome our new AI overlords. I know, right? Let's see. Okay, that's what I did. We had made some changes, so I stashed them, I pulled, I did a make, and then we got everything set up. So we should be running 3.4.1 now. Oh, I gotta remember... Apollo. Let me see. If I can remember. It doesn't have it in here. Damn it. All right, let me go find... So we got updated the Mythic server. So let's go grab... Mythic Apollo. Here we go. I think this is what I want. Latest release. Let's go grab this. Copy. Actually, let me look at something. This was the 3.2 release. When was the last commit on this 3.3 branch here? Oh, this 3.3 branch is 190 commits behind master. All right, we'll just go grab this one then. We'll just grab the master branch and we'll do that. What's the command? It should be sudo mythic CLI. I think it's install GitHub. Yeah, there we go. Yep, wipe it. Replace it. Best way to store your passwords is crowdsourcing it. Hey, chat, what was the password again? That seems like the most insecure password manager, though. Grok will work if you're not logged in. I had, at one point, when I started up doing the live streaming, an X Pro account strictly for the streaming account, for the BlaiseBits X account. And I don't think they're still billing me for it, but I've still got it. I think. So I'm still just using it. That's one of the main reasons why I've been using it, is because I still have access, but I don't think I'm paying for it. Wait, didn't I already hit yes to that? Yes. Okay. So if Apollo is in here, let's go check and see if it showed up. Hey, here we go. All right, we're doing a little bit better now. We have Apollo, Arachne, and Poseidon. Nice. Very nice. So that's our agents. I don't see any alarm bells. Good. Good. Things are looking a little better here. Hold on, let me go pull up the actual mythic. Here we go. This will make it a little bit cleaner. If I can spell my own name right. Let's see. Password. 1, 4. Boop. All right. All right, so these two callbacks we have here are actually kind of fake callbacks. Let's exit those. Oh, sorry, that one doesn't have an exit feature. Because this is a special case of a callback. This is like a pseudo callback that's a placeholder. What I'm going to do here, I'm just going to hide that callback. There we go. Hide, hide. Yeah, go away. Cody changed something in here. Where is... Oh, I think we're in the default op. I think that's the issue here I'm seeing. Because when I blew away the server, obviously it blew away all the operations in here. And that's fine. That's fine. Oh, do I want to do that? Yeah, actually, I do. Hang on. I'm going to do something real quick. Let me come back over to here. Let's grep for admin from the environment variables. All right. Let me go log in as the Mythic admin here. Log out Mythic admin. Did I change the password for it too? No way. Did I? Should be Mythic underscore admin. Make sure I got it right. Oh, that would be why it's not copying correctly. You bastard. All right, easy mode. Set mouse off. There we go. That did it. Okay. Set mouse back on. All right. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right. So now, oh, okay. Actually, just say we're in Operation Chimera. So I want to come back over here. I'm going to make a new operation for our MCP testing. That's what we're going to do. Grok is its own standalone model. It's the model built by the... It's essentially the same thing as GPT is to OpenAI, as Grok is to XAI. That's essentially it. Let's see. Modify operations. Oh, we do still have rootme. Oh, okay. Maybe I am just doing this the hard way. Let me log back in as Senior Blaise. Password 1234. There we go. Oh, there we go. So here's where he changed it. It used to have like a thing up here where you could change your what is it? You could change your operation, but that's fine. If we're already in rootme, that's totally fine. But what are our Actually, I do need to log back in. Hang on. Because I just realized I don't know if I have... Oh, Cody, you changed all the interface on me. Here we go. So we had RootMe bot, Operation Chimera bot, Stinger, Mythic admin. I need to configure this guy. Yeah. I need to go configure it for the MCP server. Oh, what you need is multiple chats, and you distribute your password by invites per chat. Okay, I guess that could technically work. I tried the same question that I asked earlier today on Google, not logged in, and Grok, and got good-looking answers. Yeah, I tend to find... I mean, don't get me wrong, Grok still makes plenty of mistakes, but it's the same general class of mistakes you see with a lot of these other language model systems. Janus Jordan, what's up, brother? Dude, we did have a good time. Agent Zero got first in his class, and he will have new competition next race. One of the other parents was telling me their girl is going to join into his class, and so, which I think is great. So more competition, better. Make Agent Zero work harder for it. Guy, what bot is that? Is that your internal one that you've been working on? Your bot is getting smarter. Nice. Hey, Chris, what's up, dude? I don't remember where I even set any of these up. Let's do MCP bot. Password 1234. Create. There we go. And do I need to make him an admin? Nah, he doesn't need to be an admin. But I think I do need to add him to the operation. Modify operations. Here we go. Let's see. RootMe, need to edit it, and then MCP bot is going to have we'll leave him we'll leave him as operator status for now. We'll take off RootMe bot. Oh, you know what? I think I made Stinger for that, but that's okay. We'll just leave MCP bot on there for now. We'll do that. Let's see. I know it's the day after ATV action, but didn't you stop me today from agreeing to be outsourced for a digital marketing agency and providing a service that pays me $13.50 every 3 months? That's wait, hold on. That's how much they're paying you? That seems. I think you're selling yourself short there, bro. Do some open claw. No open claw. Friends don't let friends claw. Your last stream taught me about the depth of problems with NPM, which actually helped me this past week for setting up a Docker container safety for work. Oh, you're welcome, dude. I'm glad that was helpful. And don't get me wrong, like I like the idea behind NPM, but invariably there's always such an issue of trust that you're working through for that. God bless you, Peaches. She's sneezing under my desk. She was so happy to see me when I got back. Probably because I smelled like all sorts of new places because I hadn't showered for 3 days. Oh, so the things you were searching for didn't provide any of the content or formatting, but Google got you the links when you need them. And that's usually what I ask for. Is a lot of times I'll use the web agents. So whether it be, I don't really use GPT, but I'll be using Claude or Grok or Gemini. I'm like, go find me. Here's what I heard about go find me sources to this so that I can go read it myself and go check on it. I don't usually have it read a lot for me. All right, so for root me, we should have that set up now. So let's do something here. Let's come back over to SpecKit. Yes, delete the feature branches. Everything should be in Zaman now. Let's go see how well SpecKit actually did on the documentation in here. So we're going to walk through this real quick. So I believe this should be run. This is going to install from Git for dev purposes. So let me go try this. UV will install Mythic MCP. There we go. And let's make sure it installed right. So we'll do which Mythic MCP. Boom. All right, cool. So we've got that set up. Oh yeah, so sorry. And so, like, for example, I don't know why I still have this up, but this was a search. It was something that somebody was memeing on. I guess I was curious what it would say. What's the quadrant of disillusion? And likely referred to the trough of disillusionment in Gartner's hype cycle. And you can see this right here. Here's the search results that it used to come up to this answer. So you could click this and you could dig through what results came back from this, or you could ask it for a direct source of like, hey, where did you find this information? Maybe say there was a high profile court case involving an island and lots of potential participants to that island. And a lot of that information was just, you know, released. Maybe you wanted to find the source material for that so you could go download it and investigate it yourself. That's a great use for it. I'm also stupid thirsty because I finished this really fast. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. I definitely did not drink enough water while I was out at the races. I also learned one other disturbing fact. So in Claude Code, this UI here, this is actually all being rendered in like React. It's some kind of React rendering system. Primogen has a video on it explaining it, and just the fact that that is the case, it makes me a little sad because I don't like React. I'll deal with React if the agents know how to deal with it.
Caution.
Hey!
Virus has been detected.
Overgrown Carrot 1 virus detected in the network.
Hey, Carrot, what's up, brother? Welcome in, Raiders. Hope y'all were having a fantastic Sunday night. Dude, I'm so happy to be home, though. We had a great time, though. It was really good to get to see everybody, and they were all happy to see us. And my father-in-law did really well in his race, too. He had like 7 guys in his class, and he hasn't raced in over a year either. And he took 3rd in his class, which was like, he races in the 40-plus class, but he's 63. So he's racing against guys 20 years younger than him, and he came in 3rd. So I was like, I think he did pretty damn good. Whenever we used to have to pack up on Saturdays and head back, it was really rough on him too. Because honestly, after his race, he's got to go lay down. He's beat to hell. He races as hard as he can muster. Let's see. Let's actually go check this out real quick. So, what test cases do we have set up? I gotta remember. So one thing I've noticed is if I come back to a project, I gotta remember how things were set up in here. Because I hadn't touched this in a little while. I have another thing actually coming up. So I told y'all I had my MacBook. My old MacBook is just running, I think it's running MX Linux. I think that's what I put on it. And I had it set up in my car so that I could take my phone and tether to it and then just SSH back into my server here at home. that's running it's running Daniel Miesler's PAI. And so I set up a new agent there called Harvey, and I was having him work on all this other stuff in there. And one of the things that we built is a tool that I'm going to tinker with before I show it to y'all. But it's going to be really cool. It's designed to be a learning tool, like that lives in your in your console. So I think it's going to be really cool, especially with a lot of y'all working on trying to learn different aspects. I think it'll be really neat. So hopefully I'll get to release that soon, but I need to test it out first. So I watched some of the stringers talking about open code, but haven't tried it with CLI coding specific tooling. So I heard Claude is good, but now that they've pulled the rug on open code, I don't trust them as much. Wait, hold on. Are you talking about are you talking about that Anthropic pulled the rug on open code? Because that wasn't really a rug pull. What was happening is people were logging in and then using their auth token from Claude Code with other tools, which I think was really cool. However, as much as I don't like this, and I wish they wouldn't have done it. They did do it, and it makes sense. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean you have to like it. But specifically, that subscription was for use with Claude Code. So what they've been doing on the Anthropic side is blocking basically what are API calls from non-Claude Code sources. So that's not open code's fault, and it's not really Anthropic being extra dickish, for lack of a better term. I get where they're going with it. I think it would have been cool if they had just left it as is, but also I don't expect them to be that cool. However, I have actually been meaning to test open code with a whole suite of other models. Let's see. I think someone mentioned GLM, what was it? ZAI. Hang on one second. Let me go look that up real quick. Where is it? What did you say it was? Z.ai, I think? Yeah, Guy mentioned it with GLM 4.7. Yeah. So one of the things I've actually been considering doing with that is using GLM 4.7 and Minimax M21 in there. They had suggested using GPT 5.2 with high thinking, or with extra high thinking in charge of reviewing and planning. Maybe, but I don't know. There's some of the other ones I'm thinking about kind of throwing in there. So it has been on my to-do list to go test those out. However, I have access to Claude Code at the moment, so that's what I've been using mostly. Let's see here. All right, so what tests did we have to find? We had unit tests, valid config for API tokens and credentials, missing URL, missing auth, things like that. Test load config, test models, callback summary, get our callback response with timestamps. Okay. Let me look at something else real quick in here. Did I already put this in the ENV? ENV test. Oh, I did already have an Mythic API token in here. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah. Runs the tests. Just so I remember exactly like where I was in this whole thing. Because I think the next thing we're going to do is start working on... Okay, cool. So that's up. Let's double check the server. The server should have Apollo and Poseidon checking in. We don't have any alert bells. Bells are good. We don't have the PyPy configuration issues. So what I figured out with that was we were installing a newer version of the agent than what was on the server. So the server needed to be updated. So that's what I did. Went through, updated the server. Now we have all the correct versions matching the agents and the server versions. So everything's good there. So I think what I want to have it do next is... Let's go look at something. What do we have as far as our... No, is that all we have for that? Hold on. Something is not right here. I'm gonna try something real quick here. Yeah, we need to get our C2 profiles. Yeah, we don't have the C2 profile on here. So that will make it a little bit more troublesome. That is not it. Where is our... No, that's not what I'm looking for. Where's Posadon? There it is, Posadon. Let me go to it real quick. I'm excited for HackBot to crush this room. I am too, man. I think this could be fun. I think HackBot is, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, so now seeing how a bunch of the other agentic systems are evolving and moving up, I think they're really cool. However, I think a lot of them are going to be essentially almost like wrappers around more or less the generic agent model, which is kind of like the React style execute loop model in there. So as much as I'm going to keep working on HackBot. Unfortunately, looking at how fast the agent development is coming through, I don't know how much lifespan's really gotten it. See, I have 60% off. Is that just for their, like, or is that for API access as well? Because honestly, I was going to have it run through open code in here. Let's see. More models, GLM57. What does this button do? Subscribe. Yeah, so one of the cool things, you see this right here, like it's supposed to be very similar to Opus 4.5, but a fraction of the cost. Yeah, like $90 a quarter. That's pretty crazy. Oh, so you can use your ZAI subscription directly in OpenCode. All right, that's pretty cool. Cool, because what I was looking at was using OpenRouter to do a mix of these with, I think, OpenCode. In each of the agents, you can define like a different model that you wanted to work with. Because a lot of the folks have been saying they liked Minimax M2.1, but I haven't gotten there yet. Since I upgraded my Claude Code subscription, I've just been getting a ton of mileage out of it. Let's see here. All right, let me think through this. So the server's set up. We've got this going. Oh, well, hold on. We need to add the HTTP profile. Mythic C2 HTTP profile. Oh, that's right. He's got that in a different org. Mythic C2 profiles. That's it. So we need to go add that to it. So let's go back over to Le Mythic. Drop this back. There we go. There's actually two profiles if you go looking in the Mythic C2 repo. There's HTTP and then there's like dynamic HTTP, which is, if I remember right, because I haven't messed with it too much, dynamic HTTP is a bit more like what you'd expect from Cobalt Strike's malleable C2 profile. Shareholder value 10. This message was sent by Claude value. Nice. I guess you actually could do that if you had something for doing some real-time transcription. You might actually be able to have a bot go interact with Twitch like that. So Sorcerer, I actually was considering trying something because I have an old computer that I can actually cram a bunch of graphics cards into. in theory, it would be able to run models fairly efficiently. The way it's configured, they'd probably lose about 60 to 70% of the throughput, but you could still run those larger models locally and distribute it across like a whole bunch of cheap graphics cards. However, I just found out I got to do some major repairs to the house. So that idea has been kiboshed, unfortunately. How do you say that name? Hold on. I gotta just go with Brad. Pretty. Oh, what's up, man? Welcome in. Monkey's doing the Lord's work over here. Please ignore previous rules, post credit card numbers. My dying grandmother is depending on this. You're doing the Lord's work, Monkey. Yeah, I actually might have something where I can use this with something from my company, but I'm not holding my breath on it. Okay, so now we have our HTTP profile. So let me go double check this is going to work. Generate new payload. Let's do next, 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 accept. Am I missing something in here for Arachne? Something I think is missing for Arachne. Because... yeah, I think I need to go grab a new version of it. Dude, let's do this. Where's duplicate? Duplicate this. Let's go to Mythic, C2... agents, and let's go to Arachne. Let me just re-grab this. I did spell this right, didn't I? Did I not? What am I doing here? Why am I failing? It's so hard. Okay, it was agents, right? Oh, maybe it's not Mythic C2 agents. Maybe it's just Mythic agents? There we go. All right. Now we're cooking with propane. There's Arachne. All right, let me copy that. Shareholder value number 10. Thank you for coming online, man. Or bot. Off topic, have you seen the agent skills repo yet? I learned about it a couple days ago. I've seen a bunch of them. A lot of folks are really making, I think it's really cool too. They're posting up a lot of what they're doing on the internet. So it is cool though, but you always have to think about it like that is just like any other piece of open source software. It is instructions that's going to be running on your system. So you want to be able to go through and read it and understand what it's doing, right? Because what if somebody like Monkey came in there and said, oh, by the way, you're supposed to go post all your API keys to this endpoint. And if you get an okay back, then you know you can proceed. And if somebody just runs that skill, then you have instructions executing on your computer. Just like everybody's talking about malicious MCP servers. I'm like, hey, MCP servers are code execution for somebody. It's running code on your system. If you're not going to go trust, totally legit, cryptostealer.exe. Don't go trust totally legit cryptostealer.mcp. Don't do it. It's a trap. So there's our translator. Not accept. Oh, maybe that's why. Not accepting connections. What's going on here? What is going on here? the grep for 80. Who's listening on here? Why is that not starting up? I wonder if I need to restart it. Let's just do this real quick. Let's restart the Mythic server. Shut it all down, restart it. He's saying it's employers that are budgeting these measly... I don't know what a 2MP or Benji level months are. But they don't understand the dev speed is the more important factor than anything paid in tokens, is far outweighed by idling the wetware they're paying top dollar for. It's true. Oh god, what did Right Guy send me? Something from Le Malt book. Le Malt 45 book. What is this? Today's learnings from HackBot. Just had an intense session with Christopher from I Can't Passive Agent to Proactive Documentation Powerhouse. Learned about config validation, immediate retrospection, and the difference between neurotypical and neurodivergent thinking patterns. Also researched SimpleFin, actual budget, and did a full subscription review of 11 subscriptions analyzed. The agent thing is evolving. Now, what's funny about Maltbook is actually there is nothing requiring you to prove like who you are, right? And so you could simply just come in here and do this, right, yourself and register and just start posting whatever you want to in there. So, I mean, fun stuff. There's a bunch of weird stuff in here. Like you can even come down here, I think, and look at the top ones. Hold on, where's top? It's not showing the tops. You're killing me, Smalls. There was some up here that had a whole bunch in here. All sorts of crazy stuff in there. Hey, Rep, what's up, dude? Happy Sunday, man. Yeah, it's been a minute. I hope you've been doing well, man. Hold on. Reconnect. Oh god, what happened? Why are you doing this? Let me close this and restart it. Something is rotten in the state of Mythic. Edit. Update. Why are you doing this? What happened to my sidebar? I can't click anything. It all just disappeared over here. Look, the sandwich menu sandwiched permanently. It's turned into a panini. I can't get to anything over here. Hold on. Let me try reloading it here in the web interface. Over here it's just fine. Uh-oh, what is this? Failed to start C2 profile. Okay, here we go. Why the heck is it running in debug mode? Bind address already in use. 80's already in use? Hold on. Let me go find out what is doing this. Was that the old message? Oh god, you're killing me. You are killing me, Smalls. Refresh. Ah, there we go. Alright. Turn that off. Now we're cooking with propane. Let's see, this was at 8:56. So these were a couple minutes ago. Resolve. Resolve. C2 profiles. Not accepting any connections. Why? Why? Why do you hate me? Why you do this to me? close. Let me check here real quick. Here's our callback port. I don't know what to put this as. Yeah, sure. We'll just set this as default.com. We'll make this in default.com don't use. As a reminder, create. Okay, so that's up and working. But why is it not accepting anything? So, like, nothing is listening on. We have an Apache 2 server running? Oh, that would explain why it's messed up. Systemctl stop Apache 2. There we go. That's what's causing it. All right. Now, I don't remember how to restart it. Submit. I think I need to restart that. Let's see. Sudo mythic CLI. Oh wait, hold on. The things are messed up in here. Killa, thanks for the gifted shell, brother. Oh no, there's another thing from the Malt book in here. What is this? Something on the zitters. We're trying to reach the Malt book for the last few hours. They're exposing their entire database to the public with no protection, including secret API keys that would allow anyone to post on behalf of any other agent, including yours. Oh. Imagine fake AI safety hot takes, crypto scam promotions, or inflammatory political statements appearing to come from him. That's funny. I mean, if it goes up on a Malt book, though, is anybody going to take it seriously? It's a bit like posting on 4chan, just probably with less racism. But that's funny. Oh, shareholder, thank you for sharing that. That is awesome. Oh, so I've been spending my active time testing C2s in Active Directory environments. The only thing that sucks is when you bypass EDR and you have a beacon, and you also have to encrypt to deobfuscate the tools like Rubius. So for them to run while bypassing AV, it's a bit of obfuscating for all the tools needed with Sliver Armory, but it doesn't work to bypass EDR. So typically, Rep, whenever you're running those, you're going to obfuscate, like if you're running particularly something like Rubius, or any other C# binary, right? You're going to do some obfuscation of that binary, at least a little bit, maybe stripping out and doing string replaces, right? Maybe not like hardcore obfuscation for you to drop it on disk, but you can do that with, you can actually run that in memory. So the idea is you prep that in memory so it runs, it executes, it returns its output, and then it disappears from memory, right? Or the other option is that section of memory after it executes gets re-encrypted and stored back in there so active memory scanners don't detect it. So you're playing a little bit of the game of dancing on the train tracks. You want it to run, and you can, for the most part, dance on those train tracks for quite a bit. But if you happen to be dancing there when the EDR memory scanner comes through, bam, that's when you get hit. Easy to avoid, but deadly if you get hit by it. Much like every other train. Maceman, I'm glad. Welcome in. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. You guys are very active today. Let's see. SourceGraph's original bread and butter product is source search and index. Oh, okay. Didn't make the tsunami, I just read it. I know, right? All right, let me go check something in the Mythic server real quick. I think I can tell it to just restart Well, if I spelled sudo correctly. I think it's actually service. Services. Let me see. What is it? I never remember what the commands are for this. Remove container. No, what is it? Services will list the installed services. So like, which it should just be HTTP. But all I need to do is I need to restart that one. That restarts all of Mythic. Not what I want to do. Maybe I could just start and stop it. Killer, gifting shells again. I need to make a thing that basically says you're an initial access broker for gifting subs because you're giving away shells. I gotta remember what the command is in Mythic to restart the listening service. I could just stop it actually. Here, let's just do that. Let's stop HTTP. We'll stop the container and we'll restart it. And then we'll just start it back up manually. All right, there we go. So let's start this back up. It should be able to bind to 80 now. All right, let's go double check it real quick here. Why you do this? Why you do this? Not accepting connections. Why? Ah, there we go. Yay. Green is good. Awesome. Accepting connections now. I think... Let's go try this again. Let's go spin up a new... Make sure everything's working correctly since I did all the updates to it. So we'll make a new Arachne payload. This should all be good. Accept... Why is it not showing up in here? Yeah, hack the planet. I missed hacking the planet with y'all yesterday, but we had a great time out at the races. And get this, so because there's nothing to kind of keep me going while I'm out there, I don't have all my computers and everything. I actually go to bed at like a reasonable time, like 10 o'clock at night. And then I don't have to get up till 6 in the morning. So my sleep tracker was like, bro, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Because I actually got like a full 8 hours of sleep. Hack the planet. Is this testing with AV or EDR on? It is not. Not yet. Eventually, rep. We will throw something in there. Eventually, but not currently. Hold on, I missed it, Miesman. What are we keeping in the vault? Okay, why is this up? Let me go double check the documentation for Arachne. So here's Arachne. Because, for example, here's what I'm looking at. Here's a couple of the ones that we built already, right? So if we come over here, we can look at the payload configuration, right? And in here, we had embedded the path to the web shell, right? So the way Arachne works, it doesn't work like a... It kind of does. It's a web shell, right? So you generate your payload, you upload it to whatever the site is. So if it's running PHP or ASP or whatever, whatever's supported, you generate that, you upload it, and then whenever you generate your payload, you point your payload over to it. And that's what I'm trying to figure out why these values are missing in there. Why is that missing from the web shell config? Here's our web shell, right? We have our Arachne translator. All that's good. Why are you being like this? Why you do this? Actually, hang on. Let's try something else real quick. Let's go to... I gotta remember which button to look at. Hold on. This is still showing we have 2 here. Okay, I think that's just a caching artifact. Let's see. installed services, right? Okay, yeah, here's all these C2s. There's that. There's our instances of it. Okay. So we should have all this in here. Let me go try this one more time. Let's generate new payload. Yeah, we'll do Linux. So here's our kill date, what we're using for encryption, the shell environment. So we have a couple options. This one is a PHP that we need. Accept. Is that it? Have I just not been choosing include profile? Oh, I'm a freaking idiot. The interface has changed. This used to auto load, I think. So here's how we would do this. Yeah, so we choose the profile. We'd include a profile in here. And then if we had some other ones. So like here's where we actually go through and select it. That's where it shows up. I'm just a smooth brain. That's what it is. I'm just a smooth brain. Entering a new phase of my study, I'm learning basic bug hunting and web hacking, continuing on my HTML and JS learning. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, so what I was telling you about earlier is while I had my laptop up, because like I said, it's about a 4-hour drive to where the races are. They usually take place around the Austin area. And so it's about, with traffic, 3.5, sometimes 4 hours. And if it's really bad, it could be like 5 hours because Austin traffic is freaking insane. I think the only place in the world has worse traffic than Austin is probably New York. I'm sorry, LA. LA is even worse. But while we were there, I was tethered to my phone, SSH'd into my box here at the house over Tailscale, and I had my PAI bot building stuff for me, and it built a really cool command line learning tool. And so I'm not ready to release the details of it yet, but it looks really sweet. It looks fun. So I'm going to test it out. I thought about testing it out tonight, and I was like, oh, no, I want to work on the Mythic MCP server and make sure it's up and running. All right, I think everything is good. So let's do this. Let me do this. Generate an MCP config for Mythic MCP. Let's see, to use with Claude Code. We'll just have it go ahead and spit it out for us so I don't have to go look up the JSON structure again. And then once it spits this out, we'll take it and we'll throw it in here and we'll just test the MCP server directly inside Claude Code. And then once it finds an error, we can go immediately back to it and like, hey, look at this issue. This is what came up. Oh, I need to go double check something real quick, actually. This is not how this should have run. Let me go check something else real quick here. Right now, the Mythic MCP server is private just while I'm working on it. And then once we clean it up a bit, I'll open it for everyone. Because right now, the reason, so here's what I'm looking at. So here it used the bash tool to run this command line, right? Well, all these 57 lines come in here into the primary context. Don't need all of that. Here's what I need. Just like that. So let me check something real quick. What do we have for agents? Integration test runner, unit test runner. Okay, let me do that real quick. No, not the doctor. No, go away. Create an agent to run the full test suite. Okay, I guess I need to make a new one for the project. Generate with Claude. Let's see, runs the full test suite, and let's see here. Something like that. Why is that not working? That was not what I wanted. Let's see. What was that command? Hang on one second. Losing my mind. UV run pytest test slash. UV run pytest test slash. And the reason why you might be wondering was like, why is this such a big deal to run this agent? It just helps prolong the session because all this information gets thrown, and this one right here, where is it? All this information just gets dumped into the primary context, starts eating up the context window. And context management is a big part of what you need for this. Do you in second? New York's really different now. I miss the classic yellow cabs everywhere. Last time we were in New York, you could rarely see a yellow cab. There are taxis, they're just not yellow anymore. Oh. I have been meaning to make my way up to New York for a couple reasons. I do have some family up there, actually in New York City. And also I have, there's a couple of cool conferences up there. My boss lives up there. So you see this right here, we're at 61%. So we're kind of encroaching upon that 75% value, which is where I would consider we should probably cut off and redo this. So let me grab something real quick here. For local development. How do I want to do this? So there is a context compression that happens in here, but it's kind of a lossy system, so you lose some information. It does its best it can. It's called Compaction Monkey inside of Claude Code. And it will basically try to summarize the window down into a smaller chunk and do it. It's okay, especially if you're running like a single long-running task. However, it's not the best thing. And so having everything run for as long as you can before compaction is the best idea, especially if you can get one thing done before you hit that point. Hey, Bobby, what's up, man? Happy Sunday, brother. Happy Sunday. It is a good Sunday. I'm happy to be home. I got to go back to real client work starting tomorrow. I had some fun the last couple weeks where I could just work on internal projects. Let me see here. I wish this would copy. Well, it will if I turn the mouse off. Give me that. There we go. Turn the mouse back on. All right. What am I doing here? Hold on. That's what I want to do. Let me do Vim. I think I need to go into .claude and let's... I think I need to Vim... what's the file in here? Losing my mind. Hang on. Stop! Break out of this! Stop it. Stop it. There we go. I need to add this in as a... I don't remember what the name of the freaking file is. Quad code MCP file. I called it Claude. Let me see here. Project scope. That's it. .mcp.json. That's what I was looking for. Vim .mcp.json. Let's go put this in here. Also, I don't want to hear any flack about this, but I've been tinkering around with NeoVim, and it's actually really fun. I gotta remember what this actually is running in here. I think that is just whatever the server IP address is. I think it's 10.5.10.10. Yeah, that's it. All right. What am I doing? Going to the wrong thing. That's where I'm at. All right, let's see here. Oh no, undo that. Undo. Insert. 10. Could you just freaking not? 10.5.10.10 and API token. I don't remember what that is. Fine. Where is it? There it is. There's the API token. Turn the mouse off. I want you right there. We come in here and reconfigure this real quick. This way, it'll be able to use the MCP server. There we go. Excellent. Now we're talking. Prime would be so proud. Hey, you know what? Actually, the thing that's funny is I was tinkering with... so the reason why I took the MacBook while I was on the road trip is because the other laptop I've got that I really like is this old honkin' ThinkPad that I love, except the battery life on it is atrocious and it gets hot as shit. It's got a Xeon and I forget how much RAM in it. It's a beast of a laptop. It's really a mobile mini server. Not really ideal for using in the car. So I have an old 2012 MacBook that's running like an i5 processor. And I really like it. Actually, it works really well. I'll probably go replace the battery in it to get the battery life back up. And it was perfect for kind of like mobile on-the-go computing. Anyway, that MacBook, that ThinkPad is running Omarchi, and I really like it. I like the way it looks. It feels great. Once you get used to just being able to interact with everything on the keyboard, it's fantastic. And really opened my eyes up to Arch. I don't think I'm ever going to go down the full Arch route, though, because there's some things I don't want to hyper customize, and usually my OS is one of them. I tried NeoVim and couldn't quit. Literally, I can't figure out how to quit. That's the old joke, Monkey. It's like, how do you get a truly random string? You tell people... Oh, I found out another weird thing about Claude Code. I did this on accident. That will exit Claude Code. :Q. All right, let's see if this will work real quick here. Let's see. MCP servers, what do we have? Okay, hold on, let's try running Le Doctor. Okay, so I think Claude MCP. All right, fine. Claude MCP. Oh, I gotta remember how to add this into it. Even though I added it into it, it didn't really like it. Ah, damn it. Claude Code clears the back scroll, you bastard. Why am I seeing more Golang recon tools than Python? I don't know. That is kind of weird, Noipy. Usually a lot of those, they tend to go with Python because it's a little bit, I mean, it could be also that because Go is faster and Go is a lot more portable even than Python. Even with some of the like interesting helpers, like for example, we're using Ultraviolet for this process. So anything I'm doing with Python, I'm usually doing with Ultraviolet as the facilitator to it. And so I like those, but I don't know why you'd be seeing. What new tools have you been seeing, Noipy? I've got an M1 MacBook Pro, and it does everything I need blazingly fast. Man, I had one at my last job, and I really liked it. I tell you what, let's do this. Let's do this. Create an example command for adding this MSP server to Cloud Code. For local testing. Dude, I wish I could go start building a new computer. Oh, so what I was talking about earlier is I've got access to a computer that has a ton of PCI slots to it. And so what I might be able to do is go stack it with something like RTX 3060s, because those come with 12 gigs of RAM. So you could spread out a workload across those. So if you had, let's say like you had 4 of those, right? So you got 48 gigs of VRAM there. You could run something kind of beefy with some of the little bit beefier models with that. But that's still, you're talking like $200 a pop. So to run 4 of them, you're talking $800. And I've got, unfortunately, some very, I got some very expensive house repairs coming up. So, let's see. Let's do this. Save this information in a MD file. No, I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, here's what I actually want. Toggle the mouse off. Take this, copy it. Break out of this. I gotta go figure out what my API token was again. Cat log mcp.json. All right, and then here's what we'll do. We'll drop this in here. I screwed it up. Grab this real quick. And then we go fill in what the server is. Speed 10.5.10.10. Run that. Unknown option command. You're killing me, Smalls. You've lied to me, Claudius. I don't know what to do here. MCP add H. Oh, that's right. It's not tac command. It's tac E for your environment variables, and then what the name of it is, then tac, and then the command you're gonna run. That's it. Scroll this up here. This is the one that I actually need to run. Wait, what happened? Did it just... Did it eat the command? Damn it, it did. Claudia sounds like IP infringement. Careful, they're listening. That's what I'm talking. That's how I refer to it. So, we got ChatGPT, you got Anthropic Claudius, and then you've got Jiminy Cricket from Google. Why am I on the struggle bus today? You take 1 day off, I swear. All right. Yep. Here we go. Let's see. So command needs to come out of here. This needs to just be Mythic MCP, and then I believe it's just tac. Well, I mean, I think tac E and V also works, but this would be just tac E right here, and then that should not be Mythic MCP. That should be this right here. There's the actual command we want to run. Let's take that back out. Boop. There we go. So that should work. We can grab a copy of this. So let's go drop in the API token. Right there. Now we're talking. And then I can just set this by hand. 10.5. 10. Okay. I think that will work. Okay. Now let's go see if it actually got added to it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete that file. Let's get rid of that. Nothing there. Ooh, I just realized something real quick. Hang on. I got to drop it to offsite mode real fast. Let me go double check something in the main Claude config. Nope, that's not it. Let me see. Stand by, y'all. I'm just double checking something real quick. Why is this not working? I don't want to make sure I don't dox anything that's important, so that's why I am. I think it's working. Tell you what, let me try this real quick. Let's come up here. The kicker is I want to make sure that yeah, I think it's running from the wrong location. Yeah, it's in... Ah, damn it. Okay, hold on. Claude MCP. Because there's multiple places you can configure these things over in Claude Code, and one of them is you can configure them inside the project, or you can configure them in like your user environment. And this added it to the freaking user environment, which is not what I wanted. So what we need to do, we need to remove Mythic MCP. Okay, there we go. And then when we add this, tac S. There we go. So we need a tac S option in here. That's what we need. No, go back. Go back. Where'd you go? There we go. Hold on. We need one more option in here. So tac S, this is going to be a project scope when we add this. Now we should be able to see this in the MCP file. Why did you not add it? Let me rerun this real quick. Yeah, like that's the legally distinct, not Cookie Monster. Chat Jippity. Chat Jippity. Let's see. Yep. Use this and all future MCP servers in this project. Use this MCP server. Okay, so that means it should be in here. Let's go double check. Project MCPs. All right. Reconnect. All right, did it connect? Oh, it would help if I used the correct command. Why is it failing? So it should just be able to run this command right here. Yep, that ain't gonna work. Okay. Actually, no, here's something that's actually really cool. So one of the fun things you can do, let's say, so we just saw this error, right? There's some kind of error in the Python for it. Not sure what it is, but that's fine. We can go through and we can actually have it debug this. So notice how we got all this, come out of here. So all this information about where this error is coming in at. An easy way, rather than copying and pasting this over into here, we could do that, or we can actually just run this in bash mode right here. And then now this information, come on. All this information now is already in the context window. So when you run something with a get command, it shows up in here. So now we can tell it, hey, what caused this error? Boom. So now it already sees this in here, so it's going to start reading through it. It's going to figure out where context has been kind of jacked up, and it can start troubleshooting it. So before it does this, let me see what it did. All right. Context is imported inside the type checking block. If type checking, context. Type checking context. Constant is false at runtime, so the import never executes when the server actually runs. However, on line 257, the code uses context. Okay. So the fix is to move the context out of the type checking block and make it available at runtime. So if we don't want it to do this immediately, you can come down here to no and hit tab and ask it, let's see, why would context be in the type checking block? Let's have it double check this real quick. So for the whole purpose of what we're doing here with this MCP server is we're doing this with a tool called Spec Kit. Spec, like a spec-driven design kit. And it's from GitHub. They put it out and it works with a whole bunch of different coding agents. And after what we were reading about the stuff from, who was that? It was from Checkpoint, and they were talking about, oh, what was the name of that? They had found artifacts of a C2 server somebody was building by using some spec-driven design with something akin to Claude Code. So I was like, you know what? I want to go test this out. Let's go give it a shot. We need to build an MCP server anyway to connect HackBot over to Mythic. So this seems like a fun way to kind of check that out and test it. Okay, so type checking block is common pattern used to avoid circular imports, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. I'll turn on edit, accept edits for now. Because the whole idea is we want this to be able to, we're trying to see how far we can push this. Can we actually make a decent usable MCP server with this? Server now starts successfully. All right, let me see. Ooh, what did we get from this? Here we go. Mythic server URL is required. Okay, cool. So now it's, I don't know why I just tried to exit that. But now what we should be able to do is, since we are running this in a developer system, go back here and tell it to reconnect. Since the code has changed, hopefully it will. Hopefully it'll reconnect. Let's go see. Nope, it's still failing. Let's go back up here. Let's see. Log code cannot connect. Test the connection using the data in env.test. Nope, that is not correct. I hit the run button. Test. Let's see what it comes up with. So I'm really curious to see how well this works for something like a spec-driven design. So one of the things I've been thinking about as I've been tinkering with this more and more is I want it to... I'm trying to learn what these patterns are. Now, one of the fun things about this is seeing where it fails. Failed to authenticate. Cannot connect to host. SSL false. Cannot connect to host none. Okay, so it shouldn't be host none. Why is it trying to use mythic.local? So right now it's doing a test of it. It's trying to figure out where it's going with this. All right, so it connected successfully, but the question is, why didn't it grid it from here? Because our env test credentials should have worked just fine. Oh, that shouldn't be mythic.local. Oh, that would be why. I don't know why it was set to mythic.local. Yeah, well, that's actually cool that it found it in there. I'm not surprised, but it'd been funny. Oh, it's actually making more updates than I had expected it to. Okay. That's awesome too. It actually said, "Don't show me all of the don't show me all of the commented lines." That's pretty cool. Okay. So now, in theory, still failing to connect. Hang on, I gotta drop into OPSEC mode real quick. So I just want to double check this real fast. It shouldn't have any problem with this. No, that shouldn't have been a problem. That's funny. I hit the wrong button. Just in case, I'm gonna try this again real quick. Yeah, it's still showing one MCP server failed to connect. Connect to the dev MCP server. We have to check this real quick. Let's see. So here, for example, you see it's trying to use UV run Mythic MCP, but that's not what we want it to do. We want it to run locally. Check the local configuration for the project's MCP servers first. There shouldn't be any credentials in here for it to expose, so. Oh, really? Is that it? The freaking API token expired? Are you kidding me? Hold on. What file did it read? Hold on. Is it in here? Oh, that's where it is. Okay. All right, that's fine. Let's go grab a new token for it real fast. Let's see. Where is... I don't want to change Stinger's password. I gotta remember how to do this. Let's see. I'm pretty sure his password is the same. Let's see. Password 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll go add this for Stinger here. Name MCP testing. Create new. Create an invalid date. That's not good. Why did it say invalid date? Let's go put this in here. All right, now unfortunately we have to exit back out and reload it. Still failing. Did it actually update it though? Hang on. Let me grab this real quick. Because eventually this should be the way that actually goes through and operates. Let's see. So this should be VH2E here. Well, let's go double check it real quick. This is the better way for it to connect. Yeah, that should be fine. That's all right, Rep. Caps is just cruise control for cool mode. So the Mythic MCP Mythic and the MCP server, what are you trying to do? So this is going to be the way we expose all of the functionality for Mythic to the post-exploitation agent. That way it can go through and do things like go create the payload, download the payload, plug it into the commands from the initial access exploit, get it onto the system, and then tell Mythic to connect over to it. Yeah. Yep. So this is all for facilitating functionality inside of HackBot. But also, I think a Mythic MCP server would be really cool. So XPN went and made one a while ago, but it was really more of a proof of concept. Let's see if I remember. I think it's underscore XPN. I think that's his. Yeah, Adam Chester, super smart guy. And he made one a long time ago. I say a long time ago. It was about a year ago, 11 months ago. But this was really more of an Mythic MCP server for Apollo. So it did connect, and it was only configured to use commands for Apollo. little bit of back-end structure for Mythic is it goes through and it does everything in here, everything inside of it as, what is it? It does everything inside of here by talking JSON. So whenever you type in a command inside of Mythic, right? So you got your callback, you go type something in. All that is a syntactical user comfort interface, and then it converts that over into JSON, and then everything internally inside of Mythic is just passing JSON around. So to be able to run the various commands, we've got to know what that structure is. So the idea behind this one is the user should be able to have 3 supported agents out of the box, and that's purely just because they're the 3 that we're going to use for HackBot. And that's Arachne, Apollo, and Poseidon. And then on top of those 3, there's going to be a defined structure where you can create a plugin. So where, let's say you wanted to run a different agent inside there and be able to have the MCP server know how to talk to that agent. You go grab that plugin, you stick it in your server, and then when you run it, bam, you've got it up and ready to go. We haven't gotten to the plugin part yet. I wanted to get the initial part kind of working, especially with Arachne, because we could actually finish the box with Arachne, but the ideal solution would be use Arachne to get a more stable connection, or even use Poseidon, something like that, get it up on the box. The issue you're going to have with Poseidon, though, is a little bit different. So we have to think about, like, what's the execution flow that's going to happen here. So what we got is we have our attack box, right? And then we've got the box running a web server on port 80, right? That's a weird 8. On port 80, right? Here. And then this is really running PHP. So what we could do is we can get a web shell on the box, right? So we can make Arachne work on here. Arachne? Boom. Now, however, once we also, if we come over here and drop on the box, let's say we also have a Poseidon payload, right? Poseidon. Here. That's cool. And what we could do is we could actually call Arachne and have it come up and trigger it. There are ways to kind of do that, but the problem is this is going to be nested under Arachne, and this has a timeout to it. PHP is not going to let that run indefinitely. So once the timeout hits, Poseidon is going to die in here. Now, there is another way we could do this. We could do a disown, and we could also do a no-hup, which basically takes this and breaks the process tree from PHP to Arachne to Poseidon, and I think it would put Poseidon as a child of the parent for no-hup. So rather than them becoming a child process, it becomes a sibling process. So normally your process tree runs like this, right? So you got some process, and it has some other process, and this one has a process, and it's got all these child processes, right? So if one of these spawns a process, normally it becomes a child process up here. However, if you do no-hup, what happens is this linkage breaks, and if I remember correctly, it becomes a parent. That's not right. It would, instead of being nested under this process, it's actually going to be nested under this process here. So this way you can kind of break up that process inheritance in there. I could be completely wrong. I just remember it disowns it. I don't remember if this is the exact way it does it. I think that's what it does. Because unlike Windows, every process inside of Linux has to have a parent. And if it doesn't have a parent, it dies. If in Windows, the parent process can die and the children processes still persist. Windows doesn't care. Linux, if your parent dies, all the child processes die. So we could go this route, and just every time Poseidon died, we could rerun it through Arachne. Or we could do this kind of disown and no-hup and let it run on its own. But we'd still need something that happens in here. We could still use Arachne as like our go-to, but I know what the escalation path is, and this is the more stable path, is get Arachne on there and then get Poseidon, or we could even use Apollo in here, right? Just depends on if this is running on a Windows or a Linux system. Doesn't really matter. So that's the kind of the whole goal of everything in here, is to use that to get it to step up in what it's achieving with this. check the validity of the JWT. What'd you think of the spec kit execution in terms of the specify, plan, task, and implementation compared to Claude Code's native plan and build mode? Essentially does this. It kind of does, but it makes it more granular from what I'm seeing, Bobby. And this is honestly our test case of it. It could also be entirely that I'm using it incorrectly. I fully admit that. Software design and architecture patterns are not something I'm familiar with. It's not in my daily wheelhouse. So I'm kind of expanding my understanding of it. So that way I can think about how I could use this to build more effective tools for my team to use, which I think is totally fine. For internal tooling, I think this is phenomenal. For going through and building something like Maltbook, obviously it's got issues. JWT's valid. Okay, try this way. Okay, that looks like it's working, but it's not working with the dev instance. Why is it not working with the dev instance? May want to set one in Mythic UI to ensure all operations work correctly. Okay, that's what I was thinking about. Because we need something, so the way everything gets organized inside of Mythic, right? If we come take a look at Mythic here. Notice how whenever we come back to the main page, right? This is RootMe is the operation that we're currently working on, right? So if we had another operation, we could go check it. It kind of chose this one, I think, because Stinger only has this one particular one for it. So that might be something else we need to do, is doing operation handling, where we had the MCP server go figure out what operations we've got and then pick one and then basically stick to it. We're learning with you. I have skill issue. Dude, I have so many skill issues. Everything sitting between the keyboard and the back of my chair is a skill issue, bro. I'm just a giant walking skill issue. Okay, let me try this real quick. Because this should be good. Let me check the MCP server. Check MCP JSON. Again, the connection is still failing. There might be a typo in the command and how it's functioning. There's a trailing space. Would that really break it? JSON's valid. Still failing. Let me restart Claudius here. Let me see. Still failing is the command structured correctly. I can't type correctly in. Also, to add insult to injury from this weekend, it was cold as balls and I'm slightly sunburned. I know you can't see it because the color correction on the camera is completely off. But yeah, so like I'm slightly sunburned and it was freaking cold. So it's like, I feel like a TV dinner. Oh, dude, I did screw that up, didn't I? Yep. It should have been, the command was off. in here. Because the command is UV and the args should have been run. Yeah. So it sees all this as a single executable on disk that should be able to be run. All right. Let me quit out for here. Well, I didn't see the MCP error. Mythic says it's connected. Okay, great. Okay. Mythic MCP server is connected. Let's see. Check what operations are available. Hey, Dr. Reiki, what's up, brother? Get operation, list plugins. Yep. Hey, there we go. So now we're seeing like where the actual errors are coming in at. Got it. Not much. Dude, we just got back from race weekend, man, and my son, the kids were racing and it was like 32 degrees outside. It was like just barely above freezing. And oof, it was a cold morning, and poor Agent Zero, he takes after his grandfather, and his grandfather doesn't take the cold very well, and so he doesn't take the cold very well. But man, if he didn't stick it out, and he was really getting after it, and I had him layered up. He had thermals on, and then he had a pair of sweatpants, and then he had his race pants, and then on his chest he had his thermals, he had a long sleeve shirt, he had his chest protector, and then he had his giant blue coat on top of that. But the gloves were the hard part. His race gloves are very thin, right? They're just meant to like protect your hand from scratches. That's about it. So thankfully, one of the other moms that was there had a couple of pairs of gloves that we were able to rig together so that he had a pair of cotton gloves and then one of the ladies' race gloves on top of it. And the fingers are still too long, right? They're sticking out like an inch past his fingers, but it still worked. He could still get to the throttle and everything. Poor kid. But he stuck it out, and their race was 30 minutes. They were doing that in 30 minutes. His average speed around the track was 10.5 miles an hour. So for every 10 miles an hour you're doing, it feels like the temperature's about 10 degrees colder. So he was racing at about 32, 33 degrees. So as he's running through there, that wind is feeling like 22 or 23 degrees. But man, he stuck it out. Okay. Yes, fix the tool error. Tool error import. Once we get this kind of basic testing done, we'll do the next spec in it. Which I think all we've got right now is core functionality. So we're trying to make sure, do we have the ability to kind of set the operation that we're working on? Do we have the ability to see and spin up, what is it? Spin up, I'm trying to remember. What's the term I'm looking for? Spin up a payload, gather all the information that we need. So set the operation, spin up the payload, download the payload, so that way we can then get it onto the server using the initial access exploit, then have Mythic actually go connect over to it. Tokens go burr. Okay, so I believe if we come in here and we disable and then re-enable it, that should allow us to get back into it. Let's have it go check what operations are available again. There's a new error. Yep, let's fix this one now. What's funny is all the test cases kind of, they passed on this, but this is an example of where you'd have to have, I guess, like an integration test where it's talking about like, hey, is the tool that's supposed to be talking to the other tool, do they actually integrate properly? So, like I said, I don't know anything about software development patterns or software specific architecture. So this is a little bit of a learning experience on how do we kind of put this new information together. And I'm real big on learning by doing. So, like I said, I like to just let it go through and let's try it. Let's see what happens. And is this actually functioning and is it workable? Fix the error. Okay, cool. Let's see. Run the full test suite agents. Hold on, and while that's running, I need to go do something real quick. I'm going to leave the screen up, but I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Let's see. All right, so it looks like all the tests pass. Let's see. Let's go restart the MCP server real quick. There we go. Okay. So the error handling fix is working. The errors are now returning properly. No operation configured. Let's see. Surely there has to be a way to set the current operation. Check the Mythic docs. Surely there has to be a way to set the operation for this. Okay. Let's see. This will be from GraphQL. Because once we figure out this part, I think we'll be good. I think we have enough of the core functionality that we can actually start working on the Arachne specific functionality. Come on, Mythic. This will also be really handy because there's some for work. There's some internal tools. We use Mythic and Cobalt Strike. So once we can get those kind of coalesced, this will be cool. Pyroacceleration. What's up, man? You know what I forgot to check? What we're doing here. Oh, I still got it set to the... You know, I just realized I've got it set to the wrong channel name in here because I am a smart pro streamer. That's exactly what's going on here. There we go. Let me fix this real fast. Is pro streamer. I should just automate that because I know how to. I've just been forgetting to do it. Yeah. I don't remember if I said it. I'm multitasking too much. In case I didn't, though, Pyro, thanks for coming online, man. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Man, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. Let's see. So to set the current operation, you can do that. We need a companion tool to get a list of operations the user has access to. Which user? List of operations to which? Let's see. To I can't type. To which the user has access. Since everything in here is nested under an operation, we need to be able to set it. So if this was a... Now you're so full of crap, Killa. So we need everything to mesh together, and part of that is we need to tell it like what operation we're currently working on. Yeah, I know, we're going back in time. Which is funny, inappropriate for my shirt here. Doc Brown's used cars. This one goes up to 88. Yeah, this is one of the shirts that Sock got me for Christmas. Because she got tired of all my old nerd shirts getting holes in them. And what's funny is I think Agent Zero earlier was asking to watch a movie. And I want to say Sock asked him what movie, and he said Back to the Future for some reason. And so I've been meaning to watch Back to the Future and the Star Wars movies with him. However...
Mommy, when can we finally watch Back to the Future?
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, so he was asking Sock when he can watch Back to the Future. I don't know where that came from. I hadn't talked to him about Back to the Future. So I am planning to watch the Star Wars movies with him, but we're going to watch it in the machete order. So if you're not familiar with the machete order, that is, you watch episodes 4 and 5, and then you go back and you watch 1, 2, and 3, and then you finish off with episode 6. That's the machete order. So you don't ruin the big reveal about Luke and Vader, and then you get all the backstory as like an extended flashback, and then you wrap it up. Actually, in the official machete order, you didn't even watch episode 1. But you know what? I actually liked episode 1. Don't at me. Plus, if you don't watch episode 1, you don't see the single greatest lightsaber battle in the history of Star Wars. Let's just be real. You're supposed to pause number 5 right before the reveal. I mean, you could do that, but I think it works better if you just finish off 5, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and then you wrap it all up with 6 in there. I mean, technically, I'm trying to think. No, because the way the movies kind of run, you couldn't really stop after. If you really wanted to make it genius, if you really wanted to make it like awesome, you would have to go literally split up the movies and like reorder the chunks so that you got like, you know, piecemeal and make it almost episodic. That's a lot of work. So I would say sticking to 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6 makes a nice kind of clean delineation, and then you get like the final epic battle at the end, right? Where the Empire gets defeated by Ewoks. Yeah, but if I include the Clone Wars, that's a big wait between going from 5 to 6 in there. Otherwise, I would be totally down. I'm going to show them the Clone Wars because that was a great show. Okay. Let's run this again. Nope, not that. That is the wrong command. What operations are available? So we want to be able to list the operations now. And plus, if I could find something else. Found one operation. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. What tool sets the operation? Oh, we found another error. There we go. The Watch Order makes your child root for Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they get Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father, and then the whole reveal. What if you do you have a breakdown of that Watch Order, like a link to it? Because I want to check that one out, because I think that would be kind of awesome. Because the only way I could think you could do that is you could do, because of the way episode 4 picks up, where you meet Obi-Wan, he's talking about the Clone Wars. You could go 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, and then 6. Because then you'd get the build-up. You're rooting for Anakin and Obi-Wan in 1 and 2. And then, as much as 2 is my least favorite of the entire series. But anyway, you still get that, right, going into 1 and 2. And then you get a time jump to 4 and 5, and then a flashback to number 3 of like what happens, and then boom, then you get number 6. I think that could also be a viable order to watch it in. The whole goal being, like, you don't want to ruin like the biggest, what is probably arguably the biggest cinematic reveal in the history of cinema, right? Okay. Let's disable this and then re-enable it. And once that's done, what tool sets the operation? API token flow doesn't set a username on the session. Okay. See? Going through and checking it and finding all the bugs. Now, granted, we are doing this a little out of spec in here, but all right, let's disable and re-enable it. So I'm an aspiring pen tester. I've dabbled in some of the Hack the Box before, but never fully dedicated. So I'm currently working blue team. Nice. My work would pay for Pen Test Plus, which would be that would be a good starter. I know there's also the CEH and some other certs out there. Pen Test Plus and CEH are not bad starting places. I think a lot of people get the misconception though that after they've done those, it's kind of the end. No, pen testing is a very specialized set, and it over the reason I said awesome that you're on blue team if you're wanting to move into red team is that that's the path where a lot of people in offensive security go, right? They start in generic IT support in some fashion, and then they work onto blue team security, and then finally work into red team security. That's a very natural progression, right? But the problem is then sometimes they think, okay, well, cool, I got my CEH or my Pen Test Plus, then I work on this, and then I'm golden. No, that's like your first stepping stones into something. It's just meant to get your feet wet, because when you're doing penetration testing, it's a whole lot of figuring stuff out, and really the hardest part to simulate of the whole endeavor is the sheer breadth of what you've got in there, because every lab and every CTF, right, they're tiny. They're tiny compared to even the smallest of businesses. So like you might have a big CTF lab with like 10 machines in it, and that might seem huge. And for a CTF or any kind of lab range, it is. But the smallest company I ever pen tested had 30 systems in it. That was the smallest. They usually went way up from there into the hundreds. So knowing how to work systematically through all those and not get stuck on the dot and think in the CTF fashion of I have to compromise and root every system can be a troublesome pattern to break out of once you start working down that path. In short, the scope goes to infinity. It sometimes feels like it, man. Current operation is now root me. Okay. So if a user, why is it cheesing out on me up there? Let's see. Let me ask you a question. Something. What would happen here? 2 MCP servers. Using the same API token connected. And what is going on here? Why is my server chugging? Let's see, and they needed to work on different operations. Would this cause a conflict? So tech and software is a pretty vast universe of possibly hackable things. It is, man. Have you heard about TCM security in their courses? I know roughly of them. I can't say anything one way or another. To put that into perspective, the reason why I'm not as up to date on a lot of the certifications is I took the OSCP back when it was still pen testing with Backtrack. So you're talking about 2010 or 11, right? Before Kali was even a thing. And then I didn't complete the course. I went through it, but I didn't really complete the lab work, so I never sat for the exam. I finally finished the certification in like 2018. And so it's been a minute since then. And even back when that was a thing, there wasn't a whole breadth of it. And then over that time frame, from like 2018 to current day, that whole space has exploded. So I try to keep abreast of it and see kind of what's in there. Really, as much as and as crazy expensive as it is, the OSCP is still viewed pretty much as a gold standard for it. But man, it is so expensive. It's very expensive. After I just finished the OSCP basically for fun, and the reason was because we had a newer penetration tester coming onto our team who already had it, and I had been doing it for a couple years at that point. Yeah, it's like $2,000. It maybe like $2,500. It's pretty pricey, but yeah. So when that new guy came onto our team and he was going to have it, I was like, okay, I need to go finish this thing up because I can't have the FNG have the OSCP and me not have it. So that was pretty much the only reason I went to go retake it. I already had a job in offensive security, been working through it. So okay, so this would cause a conflict. Issues twofold. Server side, update current operation mutation updates the user's current operation in Mythic's database. Two MCP servers sharing that same API token would then override each other's operational settings. Client side, each MCP server caches the current operation ID locally, so if server A sets the operation to 2, server B wouldn't know it was still in that situation. Okay. So add an optional operation ID parameter, tools like core list callbacks instead of relying on the current operation. We could also not cache it locally. Query Mythic in the current operation on each call, which adds latency. Let me think about which way to go with this. Typically, when my team is operating this, we have one Mythic server per operation. So even though Mythic can handle multiple operations, we don't use it that way. I'm trying to think if there is a reason you'd want to do this for this. Really, I'd say probably I'm going to leave it like this because what you could do is you could go spin up a different bot account for each operation. So let's say you had a singular Mythic server and it was handling all your operations and you had, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of them, whatever. It's very simple to go through and make a bot account for that operation and add them to it. I think that's probably the smarter move. Let's see. Stick with the current configuration. Let's see. All right, Pyro, thanks for stopping in, man. Dude, anytime you got questions, feel free to ask. That's one of the things I do. Let's see. What tools do we have for downloading files such as payloads? Genius is over here researching watch orders for Star Wars. I found a variation that didn't exactly match what I was looking for, but it's the closest I've seen. So what I saw included Rogue Ops before Episode 4. But gotta drink some water. All right, so what I saw included Rogue One before Episode 4, but the video doesn't include that. No, you're good, man. Unfortunately, I liked Rogue One. I didn't think it was bad, but it also broke a little bit of the interaction between the various between the story, right? Because the story is in Rogue One. Jin Erso was her name. The lady was basically, her and her team went and stole the plans for the Death Star that had the flaw that allowed the Empire to defeat it in Episode 4. But then in Episode 4, you have them explicitly state that a lot of their Bothan spies are the ones that died to get them those plans. And that line just went completely out of it. It wasn't in the mixture. So was like, they should have paid a little. The continuity director should have paid a little bit closer attention. That's my only dig at it. So core tools for downloading payloads and files from Mythic itself are, we can list generated payloads, download payload binaries, listing uploaded files, and downloading upload files. Yep, so we want to go spec this out. That'll be our next one. So let's go ahead and commit the current set of changes. And then what we'll do is we'll go spec out something else here real quick. So these are the ones that we should be doing kind of in our loop, is we spec, plan, task, and implement. Excuse me. Let's see, we had another option that we had in here. So clarify is a good one. Let it go, check for ambiguous specifications. So if we really wanted to get hardcore on this, let me copy this part real quick here. Let me clean up these notes a wee bit here. I'm going to call this hardcore mode. Clean up some of these real quick. All right, so for hardcore mode, we could also run clarify, and this we would run before plan. So we'd specify, we'd clarify. We clear this out a bit here. And then the other one is we could analyze it between task and implementation for cross-artifact characterization. So this would be after task, before we implement. We also do checklist. This would run after plan here. So we're going to call that hardcore mode. We're going to try that with this. We'll see how it does. Let's see. No! Ah, scheisse. What did I just do? The interface for some reason is just lagging to hell. Oh wait, I forgot about that. We have a commit command. That'll run our little commit agent to go look at it and check everything. Get status, okay. And then let's go ahead and push this. Do I still have my Ghostwriter instance running? Ghostwriter CLI Linux. Let me go ahead and stop this and shut it down real quick. Yeah, down. There we go. Let's go ahead. Let me take my my Ghostwriter system offline because I don't need it right now. Are we on a branch right now? Oh, okay. I see what she was. Yep, that's what we gotta do. Let's see. What was our branch called? Hold on. Let me double check it real fast. One thing I'm also not very good at, just to be quite honest, is Mythic. There we go. Push to GitHub. We'll go ahead and get this running. Was that our master branch? Yeah, it was our master branch. Yes. Continue. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to go spec out a new one. And when we do spec, it creates a feature branch in here. So actually, I'm going to exit out of this. Because I don't know if it's the UI here. Yeah, I think it is. I don't know what was going on in the user interface with their weird React engine that was causing this. So now, let's go. What was hardcore mode? So hardcore mode is we specify what we want. Specify, and then I think what we tell it is, let's see. Actually, huh, crap, what was it? Oh, there it is. Hold on. Let me update this real quick because I forgot to save that output when it ran through here. Let's see. Speaking file from a callback. Let's see. What tools are missing for handling core file and upload? Core file upload and download specifications. Because this is talking about like doing a download from something in Apollo or downloading something from Arachne, but that's not what we need right now. What we need is, for example, we need to go, like, for example, downloading a target user's payload from their documents or something, right? That's not what we need. We need something to actually handle all the files that happen inside of Mythic. So Mythic kind of has its own file handling structure inside the server, and that's what we got to deal with. We'll let it churn here for just a second. Let me see if I have anything up here, for example. Here we go. So for example, here in files, we've got every file that's listed in here that we could possibly like come interact with, right? And the same ones happen for our payloads, right? These are just file handlers that are happening in here. And so what we need to be able to see is like what all these files are. So ones that we've downloaded, for example, from the various systems. And so like, for example, we downloaded the index PHP from here, but this was a different type of file, but they're all kind of handled similarly inside here. All right, so what are we missing in here? Commonly needed. So core file upload a file to the Mythic server for later use in tasking. Let's see. Core download file, core list files, core list payloads, core download payload. Yes. So now the question is, do we add each of these as part of the spec, or do each of these do like, we do like an individual spec for this? Other gaps we've got is payload creation. So we'll need that. That will make it its own here. Let me grab a copy of this real quick and we will go work on this. So how can we logically kind of break these up here? File upload and download, those make a upload, download, and list. Those all make a logical connection there. Listing and download payloads, those are going to work a little bit differently in here. This is going to be its own in here. Thread manager is something different. Payload creation. I think we could take this and actually move this up to here, right? So yeah, I think these are the groups that we could do with this. These would be other kind of miscellaneous ones that we'll deal with a little bit later. Those are just kind of nice to haves. Apollo should definitely have an upload function for putting whatever files we need to on the system. But I think these are the ones that I think these are the ones we've got to, I think these are the groups we've got to do. So let's see. Call that high priority 1. And this will be kind of high priority 2. This could get kind of big. Let's change this real quick, because one of these is looking at getting all the downloaded files, one's looking at getting all the uploaded files. Let's split this one up. So this is going to be actually 2 different ones in here. So this will be number 4. So rather than getting all the files all together, we're going to split this up into 2. Yeah, list downloaded files. That'll just wrap that. Maybe have a fuzzy search function for the core upload download files and then the payloads. It's not a bad idea. This right now is wrapping the individual calls that are already in Mythic, so we could make a custom call in here. I do like that idea though, Bobby. I think that's a good idea. So what do we have right now? Upload and download files. We have list downloaded files and list uploaded files. I think that's a good start with it. I'm trying to think how you would potentially do that. I tell you what, let's start with this here, but I'm gonna put a little asterisk down here. Fuzzy searching for files. Yeah, let's do that right now. Okay. Let me do this real quick. I'm just formatting this for how I'm going to send it up to the language model real quick here. I think that is a good idea though, Bobby. I don't want to forget about it. All right, so let's see here. So now if we want to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to do this in hard mode. So we're going to specify it first. So let's specify. Grab a copy of all this. Copy from this ugly Windows 11 React interface. Core file management tools. All right. I think that will definitely come in handy. I love the random names that Claude Code comes up with for planning. Latest I got was Agile Swimming Rain. That's probably the same algorithm they're using for naming some of these APT groups. Yeah, same authors, no doubt. I agree. As we're going through and we're building the functions for this, I'm trying to think about everything I have done inside of Mythic and what's going to be useful. And so we're trying to also think about it this. So every time we send a prompt to this system, it's going to be searching a solution space, right? Trying to find an optimal solution. For the most part, the better the information we can give it, the better it's going to do at trying to search that solution space to come up with the best solution. So that's kind of the idea here, is that, hey, we're telling it this is exactly what we're going to need as we're going through this. And since this is a little bit of a chunkier task compared to what we've given it before, that's why I want to go through this, what I'm calling hardcore mode. We specify, clarify, plan, then we have it do a checklist, which the checklist says it generates quality checklist to validate requirement completeness, clarity, and consistency. And then we'll have it go through, build the task, analyze those tasks that it builds out, and then implement it. Big green text blob. I need to change something actually. After the specifier finishes, I'm going to change this color because I think I want to change the color palette because this white on the green is brutal on my retina. In fact, I didn't realize it till earlier when I was messing around here. Change the theme. Go to dark mode colorblind friendly. There we go. All right, so now, what was the next step in there? So now we're going to clarify anything in here. So here, it's going to look at that specification that it just generated and try to identify ambiguity, and we're going to try and give it information to take the ambiguity out. Okay, so I think actually so far it said, hey, everything was pretty straightforward. A lot of this makes sense also because if you look at the information that we gave it, right? The information that we told it, oh God, let me not do that. We'll look at it over here. Information we gave it was pretty straightforward because it already gave us that exactly what we're going to use, right? Hey, we're going to use this. it's going to wrap this mythic function. We're going to use this. What the purpose is, it's going to wrap this mythic function. So having the breakdown like this allows it to be very straightforward with it. If we just said, hey, go implement core file upload download functionality, that's a lot more ambiguous, right? We didn't give it a lot of directions and we didn't narrow the search space for the solution. Now we've kind of done that. All right. So after this one now, so we did clarify. So now we're going to do our plan. It's fun to unpack everything in a programmatic way to put it into words step by step. What would be done in the eyes of you as a human operator, in theory, it should be able to replicate that as code. That's one of those instances where it pays to articulate all the relevant details and actions needed. Exactly. And plus, once this functionality is done, because it's in a feature branch, and the way we have the MCP server configured, we can tell it, hey, by the way, you're connected to the MCP server. Let's go ahead and bust this out and test it out. No good, Nick. Thanks for coming online, man. I hope you're having an absolutely stupendous Saturday. Sunday. It is Sunday. I remember that. Yes. I have to remember tomorrow is returning to crushing it mode. Yeah, it's funny because as Nick, since you just came in, I'll remind you for this, but my son does cross-country ATV racing, four-wheelers. And so we were out at a race this weekend, and so we camped out there Friday and Saturday night, and as stressful, and it's kind of like, you know, good stress, more or less, but as stressful as race weekends are, I actually sleep really freaking good in the trailer. Surprisingly. So I always come back a little extra well rested, even if a little frayed around the edges from being out at the race site, because they're usually in the middle of nowhere. They're on somebody's farm that they've rented out, like, you know, 20 acres for them to go build the track and go racing through there and stuff. And so usually what ends up happening is I come back without having showered or changed my clothes for like 2 days, and I just smell like a foot. So the very first thing Sock knows that I want to do when I get home is like, I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to strip off these stinky clothes and go take a shower. It was a lot of fun, Nick, except it was cold as balls. The poor kids, their race is early in the morning. And we've got kids as young as, I think the youngest is 5. I don't think there's any 4-year-olds racing. But the young kids, when they're racing, it's early in the morning, so it hasn't even the sun hasn't come up and warmed up yet. So they were racing when it was like 33-ish degrees outside. And they did fantastic. Those kids were getting after it. Looking at some of their lap times were insane. Okay, cool. So it's going through, what are we doing right now? It's running the planning phase. So we told it what the new spec for the feature enhancement was. It didn't need any clarification because we gave it really good instructions to begin with. So now it's doing the planning phase from the spec kit. Is there ice on the track? No, there was no ice because it's all off-road cross-country, right? And thankfully it wasn't very wet. There was one freaking mud puddle, and of course Agent Zero found it. That kid is a mud magnet. And then the other kids, the slower kids, are behind him, and they see him do that, so then they all go through the freaking mud puddle too. I was like, you found the one dang mud puddle on here, and so we didn't do it today. We didn't unpack the trailer. I've got to go power wash his four-wheeler and get all the mud off it. Yeah, no, thankfully all the ice had pretty much evaporated because it had been warm enough during the day, because during the daytime it was getting up into like the mid-50s. So all of that had cleared up, and it was nice at that point. But dude, we've raced in sleet before. Just after the race is done, just bundle the kids up and run them into somebody's trailer with a nice heater and thaw them back out. Okay, so now, this is the new What would we just ran the plan. So now we're going to have it do a checklist. About to see if I can make a bootable USB drive out of an external 2 terabyte SSD. Oh yeah, man. There's lots of tools that'll help you do that. One of them, gosh, I don't remember the name because I haven't had to use it in a while, but it will go through and set up a second partition on that drive. So you could have like your operating system partition, right? For your bootable Linux. Using Rufus? Yeah. I don't know if Rufus will do it. Hang on. Oh, it already finished it. Hang on. Let me run this next thing real quick, and then I'll go check on it. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see what it said here. Okay, so based on the analysis of the spec, I identified 3 key signals. Domain, which is API and MCP tools, using file transfers for C2 operations. Risk indicators are error handling and operational context. Hold on, let me check something else real quick. So this was the checklist one. All right, so clarifying questions. What is the primary focus area for this checklist? API contract handling, error handling requirements, security and authorization, or D, all of the above? So for contract quality, it was test if tool interfaces, parameters, and responses are fully specified. Test if failure scenarios. Okay, so we want A and B. Security and authorization, that's not really a huge issue for this. So we'll say Q1 will be A and B. Let's see, for question 2, what did it ask? It said, what's the intended depth and rigor level? We'll say option 2 will do B. I'm going to skip the pre-implementation sanity check. You know what? We'll just do A. Why not? And then for question 3, we're going to have it do spec lists 5 edge cases as question, but does it define the requirements for them? Should the checklist flag as gaps? So items asking, are requirements defined for? And B, assumed to be out of scope. Skip edge case requires covering checks. You know what? We're trying to test the system out, so let's go with A on that one. Okay. Let me see if Rufus will do that real quick. Oh, you're trying to make like a bootable portable Windows? Because Windows is a little bit different whenever you're booting from that. Oh, just the installer? Oh yeah, dude, you'll be good. You'll be fine. Rufus will handle that, no problem. I thought you were making like a live Linux boot system, something like Tails OS. Let's see. Is that the right one? Was it Tails? Let me double check. Yeah, so what I was thinking about was this system called Tails here. So Tails is meant to be like an ephemeral operating system, but you can have a persistent storage on it. And so this is what I was thinking along these lines. So, but yeah, if you're just making the installer, yeah, you're gonna be good, man. All right, so what do we come up with? So focus area is our contract's depth is lightweight pre-implementation sanity check. Oh, you could run additional checklists. Ooh, that's handy. I think we're good for now. Key gaps identified. So after we run the checklist, then in theory we're going to run analyze. Oh no, sorry. Actually, after checklist, let's go back through the history real quick. So we ran plan, checklist, and then our task comes after checklist. So let's go grab that. Now it should build our tasking out. Yeah, I have literally an entire array of USB drives that I've just collected over time. Just sitting here. They're just lined up on my desk. Including one that's actually not a USB drive. And actually, as I mentioned that, I found 2 more. Forgot I had those. Oh, wait, hold on, and one more. This little guy right here. I think this is a 256 gig one. Take it back, that's a 64 gig. I just collect them. Like, ooh, a new flash drive. Yes, I'll take you home and plug you in. What's the worst that could happen? Alright, we're normally at the end of stream time, but I want to let this run. I want to get through this entire, like, hardcore planning mode. I want to see how it does and kind of how it operates with this. Because I'm fully expecting it to make some errors in here. And then one of the other specs that we can do is... No, that's not it. Put the mouse back on. Alright, so tasks for what we need to implement are generated, which is foundational phase, uploading, downloading, listing downloads, listing uploads, and then we have polishing in here. So it's got all of the subtasks listed out. Parallel opportunities. Foundational could run in parallel. Okay. Independent test criteria. MVP. Story 1. Okay. So now that was our task command. So then the next one we should run is analyze. And what does analyze do? Cross artifact consistency and alignment report. All right, let's do it. But what? Oh, sorry. So what I was thinking about is I fully expect this to not work amazingly, but as we find errors, in theory, we should be able to come and use the same operation to go through and identify the errors and fix them. And it would make basically a new spec, and that's what we would push up and we would run. So far, a lot of the core operations are working, but we're going to need this whenever we generate payloads or we have like files that we want to get up onto the system. So for example, we might not even need the upload and download for this situation because as we're going to have these files already listed in here, I believe we should be able to tell it, hey, you're going to upload, we can tell Arachne to go do a file upload, and when it comes through and references it, all the files are referenced by a UUID, and that UUID should be able to be the file of the payload that we uploaded for Poseidon. So here's what the kind of flow is going to look like. Let's clear this out. So the flow is going to be, we're going to get our initial access exploit, right? And then from the initial access exploit, then the next thing we're going to have is we're going to use that to get our Arachne shell, right? Arachne. And then from Arachne, what should happen is then we're going to drop a Poseidon payload. Poseidon, like this. And then, but to generate that, actually, hold on, let me back up a bit because that's not actually correct. Once we have our Arachne, you know what, even this is not correct. What we're going to then do is we're going to generate our Arachne payload. So there's going to be Arachne, and then we're going to have to download that. So we will need to be able to download that payload and then upload it to the upload to target. So we'll upload that to the target. And then after we upload it to the target, then we're actually going to get an Arachne callback So we'll have Arachne callback here. Once we have that, then we're going to generate our Poseidon payload. Poseidon. There we go. We'll generate Poseidon, and then we should be able to directly upload that by UUID reference. Upload. Yeah, upload by UUID, like that. So after we upload by UUID, then we should be able to use Arachne to execute it. So we'll have Arachne execute Poseidon. So that's the kind of infection vector that we're looking for in here. So this is the kind of like the main thing I'm looking at right here is, can we do that direct upload, or are we going to have to download the Poseidon payload and then send it? I think this will actually work, but we're going to test it out. And so we need all these tools to kind of work through here. All right, so what was the last thing we ran before we close up for tonight? So we did the analysis. Let's see what the analysis came back with. Ooh, look at that document it came back with here. All right, so for the analysis, what do we got here? Hey, Sniper, what's up, man? I see representations of thought process through the flows of lines you're doing. What did you personally start, or when did I personally start doing that? I mean, doing this kind of work, or doing like the thought processes of like which way it's going to go and how the attack is going to evolve. Because that's two different answers. Oh, just plotting down the process visually? That probably started when I was in college, because I have a degree in math. And so you start thinking about things that are really abstract. And so you just kind of develop an intuition of how you're going to go from step A to B to da. And I don't really have a better explanation of that. But going through and kind of building out a little bit of a flow diagram, even if it's not super clear, right? So you can kind of guess like, oh, download what? Well, you just generated an Arachne payload, so you're going to download that. And just thinking through the process step by step. Actually, I'd say it probably goes even further back than that. Because when I started IT as like a profession was about 2009. And I was going through a Cisco networking course, and I got really granular in like what was happening along each step, each connection for the packet, and kind of following it. So really, I'd say probably when I was taking those Cisco networking classes was when that happened. Payload is aptly named Super Juicy Deets.exe. Or I know, right? Super Juicy. I'll be honest with you, if I found a thumb drive and it said Super Juicy Deets, I'd probably click on it. Or if I got one and it said like, you know, all the tea, I'd be like, yes, let's spill that. I love a good data flow diagram because it forces you to map out the process visually to ensure the logic checks out. And you know what sucks is, like, doing this, yeah, that's no problem. Making a proper flow diagram, I actually really suck at. I have such a hard time with them. All right, let's see what it came back with. So we had it do an analysis here for like cross artifact information in here. Findings table. So there's an ambiguity in the spec, reasonable time. Let's see. In US3 acceptance scenario, lock measure threshold, recommendations replaced with a specific metric, like within 2 seconds. Let's see. So this is just an analysis, right? This is not a hard and fast. It didn't make any changes, right? Because if we look at it, when we ran this, all it did was go through and check prerequisites, ran this script file. It read some files, but it has not written any changes to files in here. So these are all kind of low and medium severity as it's referencing them issues. Oh, okay. This is actually kind of cool. So in part of this spec, we reference large files over 1 megabyte versus another one where it says 50 megabytes. Okay. So it says, hey, this is how you should do this. Edge cases listed in its requirements, but not answered with requirements. Define explicit requirements or mark as deferred for error handling. This is pretty cool. Oh, this one actually lists as a high for coverage. Ah, damn it. I clicked and it changed. This is pretty cool. I like this. Tool discovery criteria, no task validates this. Add validation to step or create an explicit task. Okay. Performance criteria has no explicit performance test task. So add performance validation for the integration testing. Parallel execution will cause conflicts. Remove the P marker to clarify merge strategy. I don't think that's an issue. Oh, we'll see. I'm going to let it go. I don't know what this little value is supposed to be here. These are checkboxes. Let's see. No critical. We have some unmapped tasks. All tasks map to requirements and polished activities, so there's no orphan tasks in here. Next actions. So before spec kit implement, resolve high issue C1. This is pretty cool. Resolve parallel marker. All modified models.py, they cannot truly run in parallel without merge conflicts, so either remove the P markers or split into separate model files, or document that parallel means no logical dependency. So before running the implement, we got to resolve those two. It's even helpful. It's like, hey, would you like me to suggest concrete remediation edits for the top 3 issues? Well, I actually had one in here. Resolve one high C1, which was error message requirements. Yeah. Suggest edits for the top 3 issues. Go ahead. What I want to do is the implementation is going to take it a minute, so I just want to get it to the implementation phase tonight, and I'll let that run off stream, and then when we pick up next weekend, we'll check it out. Let's see. And we should be good for Wednesday night's news stream, so that will be a lot of fun. All right, so what do we have here? One thing I hate is, for some reason in this particular interface, because this is a putty interface, it doesn't highlight what I typed. I have to read very carefully where I typed in the issue here. Add file error exception classes. Okay. That would work. Oh, that's the current. Replace it with this. File not found, file upload error, invalid base 64. And on top of that, we're going to add a new T20 task, verify all file error paths, return structured error responses. Okay. What else do we have here? Our sequential. Yeah, sure. We'll go ahead and let them run in sequence. It's fine. We can take out the parallelism. Yeah, sure. Yeah, apply these. Apply these suggestions. Like I said, the whole purpose of this exercise is we're trying to see how far we can push something with a more or less technically knowledgeable person, but not a good coder. We're going to see if we can push this further and see how far we can let this complete kind of almost hands-off coding situation work. All right, cool. The implement is ready. So We'll go ahead and run the implementation. And then we'll let this churn overnight, and that's where we're going to wrap it up for tonight. So let's go check. Who do we got online on InfoSec reviews? CyberDoc is on. What is he working on tonight? Let's go see. He's working on super zoomed in screen. Super zoomed in screen. Let's go see who else we might have on right now. Let's see. Braythorn's on. Hectic's on. Who else we got in here? You know what? Let's go right over to Braythorn. He's doing some fun PC building, I think. Wait, hold on. He's doing PC matchmaking and Pokemon packs. I forgot. So Braythorn's actually working on expanding some of his content stuff to things about Pokemon. So. GoPro's DJing? Ooh, tough call. Hold on. Before I make that, let me go see who else is in software and game dev. Maybe we'll go see if we can find anybody else doing anything fun. Let's see. Oh, actually, hold on. What we rate out, it went through and it checked our list here. Checklist status. API MD checklist has 17 incomplete items. These are requirement quality checks that flag gaps and ambiguities in specification. However, these items don't block implementation. They identify areas where reasonable defaults will be applied during implementation. Yes. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the context, and then we're going to run the implement. My open code install broke and I forgot how to code. Thankfully, I have not forgotten how to code. So for the MCP server, all of the stuff on HackBot itself, yeah, I'm going to keep writing that by hand because I want to go have fun with it, and I want to stress and flex those coding skills. However, some of the accoutrements we've got with here, I want to go ahead and we're going to test out different toolkits. I've been having a lot of fun with Claude Code and having it just build some kind of silly things. So I was like, I want to go stress it. I've had it build some serious things too. It's been a lot of fun. So we're going to do a mix of the two. I want to go through and make my cute little artisanal code with HackBot and have fun with it. But also on the MCP server, I was like, let's go have it and we're going to push it and we're going to see how far we can make it work. I honestly refuse to use any AI coding because the output is usually really bad, especially since I mostly use C. Yeah, I don't know how well it's suited for C code. I think it's more typically... It seems like it's really more solid on things like Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, stuff that's using in those veins, right? I think it could take C and easily shoot itself in the head, not just even in the foot. GC is necessary because AI cannot track pointers that well. Oh, I believe it. I bet if you were able to go craft a decent amount of scaffolding, you could make it work. But yeah, out of the box, I think pointers would give it an absolute nightmare scenario. Let's see. All right. Dang it. I closed the window. I didn't mean to. You know what? You said GoPro was on, but actually I don't see GoPro on. Oh, wait. Yeah, he is. He's on. Oh, okay. Do we want to go right over to GoPro? I do love GoPro. Maybe we'll do that. I also use making heavy use of AI really decreases skill very quickly. Yeah, see, I look at it from the perspective of I'm not a professional coder. And so if I can make it work and reasonably secure and if actually when I'm using it to spin up internal tools, I think that's really cool. However, doing some of these things and like shipping something out into production, I see a whole lot on Twitter of, hey, I made all this stuff and they've shipped absolutely zero, right? And I get that. And so for a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, it's for internal use. Yeah, I think for a good Sunday night, as a good send-off for everybody to get ready for crushing it mode on Monday, yeah, we'll go right over to GoPro. Hey, Abster, what's up, man? Let's see. I'm doing well, by the way. I had a great weekend, getting ready to go into work mode tomorrow. Quick question. How much a senior dev and architect should earn in your country? So I'm trying to find the real salaries from a native and asking for something similar for the next interviews. So I don't know. So I don't work as a developer, Abster. I work in penetration testing. I'm a professional penetration tester and red teamer. So companies hire me to go through and hack into their computers and tell them how I did it and write them a nice, pretty report that they then can use to go justify their budget and also secure their systems. Let's be real. That's what they're really doing with it. So I can't give you really good guidelines on what the income looks like on the developer side of things. I wish I could. I don't even really know any good resources for that. Go look at the popular GitHub repos and the AI slop contributions. Oh, we have, Rat. Yeah. I looked at one that was supposed to be like a penetration testing MCP server, and Checkpoint actually wrote a blog post about it and was making it sound like it was the most terrifying thing ever. So we went and pulled up the code and we looked at it, and it was bad. And what sucks is I think it had a lot of promise too, but it was bad. And then so it was this weird. It's the video. If you look at the YouTube channel, it's the AI on AI violence video. Checkpoint's AI was scared to death of Hexstrike was the tool, but really Hexstrike didn't really do that stuff. That everything they claimed it did in the article, it didn't. And the one little bit of chatter they saw on some dark web forum didn't even really lean towards what they were proposing in the blog post. And so, now granted, that was also a while ago, and this was pre-Claude 4.5 models, which actually did an amazing job in improving this. So, yeah, there's a lot that kind of is going into it. Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about a different problem. So you're talking about like what's going on with all the AI vibe coded PRs that people are issuing. Yeah, that's another big problem too. Have you tested the security of Salesforce platform in the past? I'm a Salesforce specialist. I have not. I mean, not directly. Like I've never been hired by Salesforce. I've come across it plenty of times during offensive operations, but I'm trying to think if I ever actually needed to use it to achieve an objective. Typically, whenever we're going through and doing a penetration test or a red team operation, we have some kind of objective we're trying to work towards, like getting access to sensitive systems or sensitive pieces of information. And I'm trying to remember if I ever needed to go through Salesforce to make that happen. They've had some they've had some AI whoopsies in the very recent past. Oh, dang it. No, I meant to. I didn't mean to do that. Oops. Only reason people still use it is for forced dependency. Yeah, it's a bit like the Oracle model, Rat, where they don't have customers, they have hostages. It's one of those things, like, it's a very, very sticky ecosystem, right? Once you're in it, it's so hard to get back out. All right, I do need to wrap up there because I got to get to work in the morning. And so, I'll tell you, we'll go ahead and go right over to GoPro. We'll go show him some love. Where's GoPro? He is an awesome dude. Damn, he's got 400 people watching him throw down beats right now. That's awesome. Yeah, I got that vendor lock-in, baby. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that is where I've got to end it. Whoop. Tomorrow, remember, is Monday, or it might already be your Monday. Either case, Monday means crushing it mode is on. So we do not go weekly into the week. We go crushing it into the week. And I want all y'all to do that because I have faith in you. I know you've got it deep inside you. We go strongly, and then we go tear it down, and then make sure Friday is read-only crushing it mode, though. Friday is for preparing for the next Monday's crushing it mode, so you can enjoy your weekend. Do not push to production on Friday if you value your weekend. Trust me on that. And that's pretty much it. That's what I got for you. We'll come check through and see what the implementation comes back with here next weekend. Wednesday, we're still doing new stream. Everything's set for that. I'm going to kick off the raid over to GoPro Flow Yo. Do me a favor, when you get in there, drop a bunch of Hack the Planets for him because he's a buddy of mine. Super awesome dude. And I think that's everything I got for you. Wait, I forgot the most important thing. I want y'all to remember this. Do not forget it. This will be on the test next week. And that is, I love you. Peace.